Hey everyone, and welcome back to Iron Wrath. Before we begin, I want to remind you all that this was written before Fallout 4 came out. Years, actually. This is an older project of mine. This story takes place after the events of all the games, not including Fallout 4. It takes place as if all the quote-unquote perfect endings were achieved and the nation is being rebuilt. There is a beautiful peace between the NCR, Brotherhood of Steel, and all the other factions of the Wasteland. I won't say any more since that could spoil things. Just keep all that in mind as I tell the story. But without further ado, I hope you enjoy Part 3 of Iron Wrath. Part 3. Ghosts. Eric watches as the powered cart rolls down the tracks. Both he and Odysseus departed the next day after arming themselves up and gathering enough supplies for a few days of survival out in the wasteland. After repairing his power armor at Raves, Odysseus remained silent. He was distant and lost in thought. The only time he spoke was to issue an order, and Eric obeyed. Eric looks back at the old man in his power armor. He has his helmet off and next to him as he sorts the weapons he brought. I could have walked faster than this thing is chugging at. Eric comments. The powered rail car was heavily damaged in the attack, either from the impact or the fighting. Rave was barely able to get it up and running, but the old ghoul worked a miracle. Trust me, with all we brought with us, it's best we have a cart to carry everything. If we didn't need to travel with a fat man, we could have hoofed it. Eric snickers. We don't even know what we're going to be going up against. I think you'll be thankful to have a mini-nuke with us. Odysseus says as he fits some 5.56 into a magazine. Well, at least I got to know what was inside the garage. A chuckle slips from Eric's lips as he looks out at the wasteland through his tinted goggles. He was shocked as he could be when he saw the fully stocked arsenal behind the locked door. Weapons of all calibers, including a fair share of energy weapons, are mounted on the walls. The more heavier weapons are propped up against the wall near the power armor stand, and all the ammunition for the weapons are in labeled chests. There was even a second set of power armor, though it was rusted and looked ancient. Eric was angry for the secrecy of it all, being lied to about the Steel Sentinel, but there are more pressing matters at hand. A question has been burning its way into Eric's head since the fight against the super mutant ghouls. Odysseus knows something about this, and he wants to know. Okay, I need to know what you know about this, Eric demands. The old man sighs as he jams the last round into the magazine. I was 30 years younger. Odysseus starts with a heavy sigh. I was part of an elite group of Brotherhood of Steel Paladins. We did the missions that couldn't be kept on records. We were called the Divine Paladins since we were the hand of God. We were all trained at a young age, our real names taken away from us and then replaced with names from old myths. Zeus led the 15 of us. I was the second in command of that squad. Eric listens to the old man retell his past that he buried long ago. His eyes go cold and distant as he explains the missions and raids he was part of in his youth. Our last mission was to investigate rumors of an Enclave movement here in the Empire Wasteland. We knew better. The Enclave was just wiped out by the East Coast branch. But orders are orders, and Zeus was more loyal than a dog. A tinge of disgust taints his tone of his voice. We didn't have a vertibird like the East Coast branch either, and the West Coast branch had lost its last airship years ago. We walked across the wasteland, fighting almost every creature and raider that came across our path. By the time we reached the Citadel in DC, we had only 7 men remaining. We resupplied and headed north. Odysseus looks off into the passing wasteland, the nightmares of 30 years ago playing in his head. Eric watches him struggle and regrets forcing this information out of him. We marched days without rest. Zeus said rest was for the wicked and we were God-sent. We began to realize that our leader had lost his mind long before reaching DC. By the time we reached the Empire Waste, we all knew Zeus had to be removed from power. But it was hard when some were still loyal to that madman. We actually tried one night shortly before we reached our target location. We confronted him, explained to him that the wasteland has been affecting his mind. He went off in a blind rage. He shot my squire right in the head. I was training him to be part of the Paladins. He was my charge. Odysseus says with a roar as he remembers. Prometheus was only 15, hell of a good fighter, demolition expert. And he was dead at Zeus's feet. Down to 6 now, all my brothers dead in a matter of a month. Exhaustion, a lucky bullet, a deathclaw, and now our own leader, the things that killed my family. Odysseus' voice trails off quieter, and soon the sounds of the rolling cart drown him out. Eric looks down the passing rails. He only knew this old man for a few weeks, but what he knew him as has changed more than he could imagine. Boss, Odysseus, the Steel Sentinel, Divine Paladin, all of that from a broken man who dragged into his past by old ghosts. What happened then? Eric asks quietly. The old paladin looks up. We found the target. a rogue Enclave scientist who managed to survive the fall of Adams Air Force Base. He fled to a pre-war military facility to further research the FEV. He was harmless, really, just wanted to find a cure for the wasteland. Zeus cut him down even though he surrendered and offered to come back with us. That was the final straw. We turned on him and a firefight broke out in the base, and that was it. I was the last member of the Divine Paladins. I left Zeus bleeding out and put that old base on lockdown. I left him there to die. His final mission would be his tomb. You went to Cherry Bend after that, saved it from raiders. Eric questions. The old man nods. Yeah, I wanted to die. I thought the fight would do that. I ended up a hero. I turned my back on the Brotherhood that day. The Divine Paladins didn't exist on the books. The missions we went on were death wishes. I wouldn't be missed. I retired. Odysseus exits the power armor and steps out of it, leaving an empty husk. He walks around it and touches the emblem on the chest. It was similar to the West Coast Brotherhood of Steel insignia, but a lightning bolt replaced the sword in the center over the cogs. That was our call sign. When I painted the armor, I couldn't cover it up. I carry those 14 spirits with me each day. Despite what happened and how it happened, they were family, and I won't let their memory die. You think someone else found this facility and is using it to make all these goals? Eric asks, trying to piece together the answers he's looking for. Odysseus nods. Everything that we've seen are the product of the forced evolutionary virus. That is what created the super mutants and the Deathclaws, so something is forcing them to change. I am willing to bet that the FEV is at work in this. Eric remains silent as he processes all these new horrors of a time before him. He watches the tracks and the hills they are going through. They are still on the new rails and he needs to find where they intersect with the pre-war ones. Odysseus sits down next to the standing power armor and polishes the helmet. He cleans the lenses and the headlamp until they are able to reflect the overhead sun. Eric, have you ever been inside a suit of power armor before? The old man asks without stopping the polishing. No. Only really seen power armor a few times in my life. Nothing like yours. Raider power armor, mangled messes built around the frame. Odysseus lets out a laugh. Back when I was your age, only the Brotherhood had power armor. Now everyone gets their own set. Raiders think they're big and bad in theirs. They always forget to cover the fusion core, though. Eric looks back and up at the armor. That's the thing that powers it, right? Yes, pretty much a miniature nuclear reactor. Hit it just right and it explodes, taking anything in a pretty large radius with it. Eric nods and turns back to the rails. His eyes grow large and yells to shut the power to the cart off. Odysseus moves fast and the cart coasts to a stop just shy of the jerry-rig junction connecting the old rails to the new rails. Christ, that was close. The old man says as he steps to the edge of the car and looks at the mangled mess of rails. The way it's rigged would only allow carts coming off the old rails to pass, and anything coming towards it would be derailed. Well, looks like we got your wish, son. We're walking the rest of the way. Odysseus walks back to his power armor and enters it. He reaches down and puts his helmet back on and gathers up some weapons. The fat man goes on his back along with his bumper sword, and the fully armed plasma rifle is in his armored hand. Odysseus orders as if he was still in the Brotherhood of Steel. He leaps off the cart and lands with a thud and begins following the old rails. Eric places a spare mini-nuke in his pack along with as much 5.56 as he can carry before following. This area of the Empire Wasteland is much stranger than the other parts. Its rolling hills make Eric uneasy. Anything can be lurking behind them. Odysseus continues to lead the way. He must feel the same as Eric about the hills since he too watches them, almost expecting an ambush. Too quiet. Eric comments. It was like this 30 years ago. But my suit's Geiger counter is going nuts, almost triple the normal levels of the area. It wasn't like this before. Great, so we're being cooked right now? Odysseus' laugh is muffled from his helmet. Nothing a little rat-away won't fix. You'll be fine, says the guy in the armored suit. Odysseus and Eric walk for over an hour following the tracks. Nothing ever comes over the hills to attack them. The old paladin leads the way right to the facility he lost his whole squad at. It is a very large structure built into the side of a hill, and the rails lead right through giant open bay doors. Bunkers flank both sides of the rail. When this facility was used, these provided protection. Now they are just empty reminders of the old world. While there was no trouble leading up to the facility, the trouble now shows in the form of a massive horde of feral ghouls surrounding the facility. Fuck, Eric says, watching the mob move and shuffle. Think we have enough ammo to kill them all? We got that big-ass sword of yours. I'm sure you could cut through them. Or we use this, Odysseus says, pulling the fat man off his back. And you said we should have left it back home. You got me there. Odysseus takes a knee and aims the nuclear catapult in a large arc. He squeezes the trigger and the mini nuke goes flying with a whistling and comes crashing down in the center of the mass of Pharaohs. The small nuclear explosion rips through the ghouls in a brilliant and violent blinding light. When the blast fades, there are only a few stragglers that are easily picked off without a problem with Eric's rifle. Once it's clear, they proceed further down the rails and closer to the facility. They enter the building through the giant bay doors. The rails continue further into the building and disappear behind another set of closed bay doors. Follow me. The lab is this way, Odysseus says, continuing to lead the way. The pre-war facility is cold and damp and smells of mold and something more, something Eric has never smelled. The lab is deeper into the facility and it's alive. The computer consoles hum with life and light fills the room that is built around a large vat. Odysseus and Eric walk around the vat until they see someone on the catwalk near the computers. A massive figure in twisted power armor stands looking down at them. He takes off his helmet, revealing the disfigured face of a ghoul. Ah, Odysseus, come, embrace your former commander. Zeus? And that will be it for part 3 of 5 of Iron Wrath. The past has caught up to Odysseus now, and he has to face the skeletons that lived. What does Zeus have planned? I am not sure how the schedule for the series will be, though it's starting to look like it will be finished on time. But there's still a chance it could become a bi-weekly series if I don't get the chapters done in time. I take great pride in my writing and I love doing it for you guys, so I always appreciate all feedback, both negative and positive, so leave your thoughts on the story in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and share it around. It helps me grow the channel and I really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter to know when all my videos go live, as well as to know when I might be doing something special. And, as always, this has been Black Phoenix. Thanks for watching, everyone.